Welcome back to the crypt. Today I'll be venturing out and attempting some new creative journals for the month of November as my continued experiment of trying to be a better writer. And if you're curious of how I'm doing it, go ahead and keep watching. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to go ahead and show you my old creative journal, which I will still be planning to use. It's just going to be more of a workbook where I'm going to just be doing a lot of info dumping and brainstorming on. But this is what I was using for October, and this is the new setup that I'm starting for November for NaNoWriMo and past NaNoWriMo as well. This is going to be where all of my short story logs and collections are going to go right here in this journal. So if you're curious about the general system and setup, I'm going to go ahead and link you guys down to Rachel's information down below. She's the one that I got this kind of concept from. Initially when I do have a video on her story toolkit workshop that she had going on about a year ago, I believe. And I wasn't overly impressed at the time. Like, some of the information was very interesting and I liked it, but I hadn't yet found a way to do bullet journaling that actually worked for me personally. So at the time I didn't really get into it. Now that I've been experimenting and finding things that actually do work for me, I've been finding better systems and really enjoying bullet journaling in general. So this month for October, I went ahead and attempted doing session logs where I log my writing session and all of the loud noises in my head get written down as bullet points of do this, brainstorm this, etc. Now initially, Rachel recommends two different journals. One that is the workbook, so all your brainstorming and just figuring stuff out goes in one, and it's just scrap paper essentially bound together. And then the nicer journal, which is all the stuff you figured out from the scrap paper that you're like, okay, this is for realsies what I'm gonna do, I've decided for sure. That then gets transferred into the nicer journal. That way you've separated the wheat from the chaff in a way. The idea that she has come up with does really hinge on the concept of the plot embryo, which, as you guys know, I don't currently use, and I don't have any plans to use it right now. However, I've kind of created a hybrid system using something that I use in addition to something that she uses a little bit, and I found kind of a middle ground. The only problem being I was trying to do it all in one book, which yeah, there's a reason you're supposed to use two books. It gets chaotic really fast if you only use one. The whole point is to separate the wheat from the chaff after all. So yeah, that's why I'm gonna go ahead and make this. Now, normally I wouldn't go this far out for a spread. I don't typically do things this intense, especially doodling and painting and stuff. It just is really time consuming. However, I, really wanted to do this, so, you know, it's my journal, my decision, but also, this is one of the only spreads. There's this cover page, and then there's the index, which you guys will see in a bit, and that's it. No other spreads in these journals and workbooks are created beforehand. The whole point of these things is to craft things as they are necessary, as they are needed. There's no reason to do it beforehand. In fact, you should avoid doing these things beforehand. This really stops you from making things that just aren't necessary. The quote is, "Short stories are tiny windows into other worlds." It's part of a larger quote from Neil Gaiman. I did do some cleanup later, by the way, with whiteout, which I don't think I show in this particular clip, but you'll see a cleaner version at the very end. So sorry if that bugs you. It definitely bugged me as well, which is why I did more cleanup near the end off screen. I'm kind of glad in some ways that this is kind of messy because this is supposed to be a working journal. So it's important that I'm not too precious about the whole thing. I need to be able to actually use it. So now I'm setting up the index page, which I went ahead and doodled some mushroom clusters around. And I ended up doing a lot of lines for this one. I did cut out some of the line footage because it's just kind of monotonous. I think you guys get the idea. I did make the lines kind of big because I really should only need to index the collections. I shouldn't need to index any of the logs. And the reason for that is because a log is just simply useful during your writing session. It's information of what you're doing during that session, and anything that you're unable to complete in that session just gets moved to the next available section of writing. So it's not something that I necessarily need to catalog. The next page, however, because this is short stories, I decided to go ahead and have a page that's going to be referencing the pages and names of all of the short stories that are inside this particular notebook. So this is going to be the short stories that are inside this, their name, and the genre they are. This kind of gives me an overview. But here I am just numbering the bottom edge of the pages so I can use that index. And there we go, that's it. Again, the most time consuming was the art, which is why I rarely do art. And from here on out, there will be no art in this journal. Maybe a stamp here or there to break up monotony, but that's it. This is supposed to be simple. It's supposed to be straightforward. And that's going to be my creative writing journal for the month of November. So now let's move on to the full bullet journal, which I filmed earlier actually. So just to give you guys a little heads up, October, I still am going through it. I had a real problem getting things done in the middle of October, and I just finished up a lot of events at work and overtime, and I'm exhausted. So it's kind of hard for me to concentrate and get things done, but I'm in the final stretch of October right now, and I'm still trying to figure out what my feelings are about October. I feel like there's a lot of lost potential in October, but I'm still kind of working through it right now. I'm trying not to be disappointed with myself. I really do feel like I wanted to get more done in October, but at the same time, I needed to be gentle with myself. And I'm really struggling with reminding myself to follow the advice I give to other writers. Be gentle. Don't overdo it. Don't overwork. Don't shatter yourself. It's hard, but I'm trying to be gentle. I'm trying not to beat myself up for not meeting the goals that I initially wanted to meet at this time. Like, I wanted to be completely done with my novel project by now, and I'm not. I'm still very close to the end, and I've got a really solid idea for all the future scenes and how I'm going to wrap it up. It's just having the time to sit down and do it without my body screaming in agony from injuries. So I'm working on it, but it's definitely taking me longer than anticipated to get some of this stuff done. So honestly, although I do have a couple more days left of October, I'm not entirely positive I can finish everything I need to. So it's very probable that my novel project is going to roll into the month of November. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to do goals in that case. But I guess we'll see. I think it's fun. I'm just now realizing so some of the cards you're seeing, 3 of Swords and Temperance, those were cards I actually pulled for the month of November. I'm just now realizing. Oh, wow. Hindsight's 2020, isn't it? Whoa. Well, that explains a lot. If you do not know what those cards mean, 3 of Swords is heartbreak, and Temperance is balance. So, yeah, that tracks. This is kind of a new idea. I actually had an extra page that I was toying with from last month that was a lunar spread. So it's a calendar for the month of the entire lunar cycle for the month and what those cycle bits are best for. I actually found this spread really, really useful last month, so I decided to go ahead and make it, for now, a part of my actual monthly routine. I also have added in, after the fact, I added in also my blood cycle as well, because I'm trying to keep better track of it. I have a general idea of it, but I'm kind of curious how that is also reacting with my creative side. I don't have enough data to make any clear conclusions on how they're all interconnected, but I think it's interesting to track the information. Honestly, this next spread I'm not super happy with. It turned out kind of messy. The spacing was really odd, off track, kind of rough. But I am far too lazy to fix it, so is what it is. Again, I try not to be overly precious with my notebooks. They are things to be used. They are things that, yes, I try to make them look nice because I enjoy the process of doing that and I like the way they look and it gives me motivation. At the same time, I need things to be practical, including setup. Yeah, see here, roughly here is where things went. Yeah, what was I doing? I really don't know. The squigglies went really out of control at that point. I actually really like how the weekly spreads turned out this time. They were really stripped down and simple, and I liked the clean look. I have determined, since I've got that lunar calendar earlier on, I don't need to be putting the moon cycles on these weekly reflection spreads. At least not for the moment. And I actually like that look. It's less cluttered. So that's probably what I'm going to keep doing from here on out. As per usual, I'm making my new and full moon spreads as well with their reflections. I find this a really useful check-in for about roughly halfway marks. There we go. That's the month of November. Some of it's kind of messy, and other parts I really enjoyed. I feel kind of numb right now. I feel like I'm definitely not ready for NaNoWriMo. At the same time, I feel like my priorities for it have changed also. So I'm trying not to have any panics about it and just take things as they come. I hope you guys are having a good time and that you are ready and rearing to go.